In this particular meeting my mother was trying to get Susie and I to publicly affirm her marriage to this man. While this attack is very painful and wrong, I know that our battle is not against flesh and blood. A lot has been going on over the last couple of years that we just couldn't talk about. We've given over all of our evidence over to multiple reporters. The Lamb family's internal disputes have recently erupted into public view, with Jonathan Lamb, son of Joni Lamb, accusing his mother and the leadership of the Dayar television network of misconduct. This conflict traces back to allegations made in 2020 by Jonathan and his wife Susie, claiming that a family member had molested their daughter during a family vacation. 4 years later, claims of a cover-up by the Lamb family matriarch and patriarch have surfaced, further escalating tensions. Jonathan and Susie have now felt compelled to publicly reveal these controversies, even addressing them on live TV. Joni Lamb, a prominent figure in Christian televangelism, co-founded the Dayar television network in 1997. With her late husband Marcus Lamb, the network was created to spread the gospel, but recent scandals threatened to overshadow its mission following Marcus's death from COVID complications. In 2021, the family's dynamics began to unravel. Many expected Jonathan, who had been deeply involved in the ministry from a young age and served as vice president, to succeed his father as president. However, Joni took over the role, a decision that allegedly caused significant strain within the family. Jonathan was eventually fired as vice president in 2024, a move he attributes to his refusal to sign a non-disclosure agreement (NDA). Dayar, however, stated his termination was due to failing to meet the requirements of a performance improvement plan (PIP). According to Jonathan, his termination stemmed from a culture of submission at Dayar. He claimed his refusal to sign the NDA led to his demotion and subsequent placement on the PIP, which he saw as punitive. Star's version of events differed, emphasizing Jonathan's alleged failure to fulfill the PIP's criteria. The termination letter, dated November 16, detailed Jonathan's obligations under a prior confidentiality agreement, warning against making misleading statements about Dayar or its leadership. Jonathan later disclosed details of the PIP which restricted him from discussing various topics, including his reassignment and Daystar's internal decisions, without written approval from the CEO or trustees. Among the PIP stipulations was a point addressing Jones' remarriage to Dr. Doug Weiss, a family friend and frequent Dayar guest. Weiss had divorced his wife of over 30 years, Lisa Weiss, 2 months after Marcus's death, citing spiritual abandonment. This decision, controversial within the context of Christian teachings, became a significant source of tension between Joni and Jonathan. The marriage was deemed biblically acceptable by pastoral counselors, but Jonathan and Susie opposed it, considering it adulterous. They reportedly became uncomfortable with the union after learning that Doug would co-host the network's Round Talk with Joni. This disagreement allegedly played a pivotal role in Jonathan's dismissal, as the couple refused to endorse the marriage or Doug's elevated role at Dayar. Jonathan and Susie claimed Doug's involvement in the network marked a turning point, contributing to their fallout with Joni. Susie reportedly disclosed that Lisa Weiss had pleaded with Doug not to divorce her, but he proceeded regardless. The couple's opposition to the remarriage and their refusal to comply with Daystar's demands, including the NDA, led to escalating conflicts since his termination. Jonathan has accused Dayar of orchestrating a smear campaign against him, alleging false narratives were spread to discredit him. Dayar in turn contends that Jonathan's actions stem from resentment over not being named as the future president of the network The Rift, has highlighted deeper issues within the family with long-standing grievances and recent developments fueling the discord. Jonathan believes he was unjustly denied the presidency despite his contributions to Dayar, while Jones' leadership and personal choices have been subject to scrutiny as both sides continue to present their versions of events. The dispute has brought public attention to private family matters, leaving questions about the future of the network and its leadership unresolved. Joni Lamb revealed that Marcus Lamb initially willed the Dayar ministry to their son Jonathan. However, after Jonathan and his wife Susie pursued a molestation case against Marcus's decision, Marcus rewrote his will 2 months before his death, granting Joni the right to inherit Dayar. In a video discussing the leadership changes at Dayar, Joni acknowledged the family division caused by Marcus's death. She shared that Jonathan was disappointed not being named Daystar's future president and that his disappointment deepened after her marriage to Dr. Doug Weiss. According to Joni, Weiss has been a blessing to her family and Dayar. Jonathan attributed the rift to his religious objections to his mother's remarriage. The situation involving Joni, her son, his wife and their daughter grew more complex when journalist Julie Roy published a controversial article on November 20, 2024. Through the Roy's report, Daystar's legal team responded with a 10-page cease and desist letter, accusing Roy of publishing false allegations regarding Jonathan and Sue's daughter. Julie shared the letter issued by Daystar's attorney Michael D. Anderson on social media. The letter demanded a retraction or correction of her investigative articles, warning of potential legal action. This marked Daystar's second legal demand, highlighting the escalating tensions. Anderson accused the Roy's report of fabricating statements and orchestrating a smear campaign led by Jonathan and Susie. He asserted that the publication lacked evidence to support its claims beyond unsubstantiated accusations. Anderson emphasized that the Roy's report could not escape liability for the alleged false statements and warned of impending legal action if demands were unmet. However, Julie's attorney Christine Jones rejected these claims, defending the publication's integrity and pointing out that Dayar was given an opportunity to comment before publication. Julie criticized Jones' public response to the allegations, highlighting unanswered questions in her articles. She questioned Jones' actions, including her alleged one-on-one meeting with Jonathan and Sue's daughter after the child reportedly disclosed abuse to her mother. Julie questioned why Joni wanted a private meeting with the child and why the girl reportedly refused to discuss the abuse afterward. Additionally, Julie noted inconsistencies in Jones' account of an incident at a beach house involving Pete, a figure central to the controversy. Joni claimed the issue was resolved quickly, yet a forensic counselor stated that Marcus and Joni shut down an internal investigation before it was completed. Julie pressed for clarification, asking why the investigation was halted if the matter was resolved. Joni dismissed the allegations as part of a broader campaign to discredit her and Dayar. She maintained that her actions were misrepresented and recounted her first awareness of abuse allegations in November 2020. According to Joni, Susie contacted her about an incident involving her granddaughter at preschool, where a little boy allegedly touched her, and a friend Joni said she accompanied Susie to the school, reported the incident and provided support for her granddaughter. Julie asserted that her reporting was based on extensive interviews and evidence, but Dayar responded selectively to her questions. She criticized Joni and Dayar for addressing only certain points while leaving critical questions unanswered. Julie claimed that her articles raised significant issues that needed resolution, emphasizing that John's video response avoided key concerns while Joni defended her leadership and actions. The controversy underscored the deeply fractured dynamics within the Lamb family, and the ongoing legal battle and public dispute have cast a spotlight on unresolved allegations, further complicating an already tense situation. Despite the escalating conflict, Joni continues to reject the allegations, insisting on her commitment to her family and the ministry. Joni framed this incident as an isolated misunderstanding, suggesting that subsequent claims have been distorted. That was the incident that happened, and yet what's being written is just taken out of context. I was there, and Susie actually told me to go there, so this word about you covering up, there's no truth to that, she said. However, Jonathan and Susie, now estranged from provided a different account of events. They claim that central to the controversy is an incident Susie reportedly brought to the attention of her late father-in-law Marcus before his passing. Susie alleges that her young daughter confided in her about being molested by a family member identified only as Pete. According to Julie's article, the incident occurred when Pete allegedly followed the 5-year-old upstairs as she changed into a swimsuit. Susie described the man's demeanor as eerie, noting his eyes seemed to go black, like he was in a zombie mode. She had immediately alerted Jonathan, who rushed upstairs to find the relative in the same room as his daughter. He recounted the horrifying moment he entered the room to find his daughter completely naked, with Pete present, saying, "To my horror, when I got up there, my daughter was completely naked and he was in the room. I was just immediately like, what are you doing?" screaming at the top of my lungs, and he is like, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry." He apologized like 50 times, like I caught somebody red-handed. The Lambs took their concerns to the police, initially keeping the incident under wraps from the rest of the family. However, according to the report, authorities initially closed the case because the child was unable to articulate specific details. The case was reportedly reopened later and is said to be pending with the civil police department in Texas. Meanwhile, Pete's lawyer has denied the allegations, maintaining his client's innocence as if the allegations weren't distressing enough. The aftermath has been equally chaotic. The aftermath following Jonathan's firing from he and Susie released a video claiming they were being harassed and followed, and have since gone into hiding at an undisclosed location. According to them, the only reason they were going public with the news was to let everyone know that they were afraid for their lives, for keeping their convictions, which went